Okay, in this video, we're going to be talking about PayPal, whether I think it is a good buy or sell. Welcome to Dow Stock Talk, where I talk about topics relating to finance and investing, but more specifically, the stock market. In this video, we're going to be talking about PayPal. It's not going to be a full stock analysis, but I'm just going to try to give you the pros and cons and what I personally think. Now, a lot of people may ask me, hey, you haven't done a stock video in so long, but it's typically because a lot of the stock analysis videos that I didn't necessarily get a lot of views, and more people was interested in investing platforms, so that's when I tend to shift my particular content. But every now and then, the channel is called Dow Stock Talk, so when I see popular companies that I think people may be interested in and it catches attention, I normally do. I'm gonna start doing a stock analysis. I'll probably add some into the channel, but anyway, let's not babble no more and get into it. So PayPal stock, as you can see, it's down 80% from the 52-week high. I'm pretty sure everybody know what PayPal is. It allows you to transfer money pretty efficiently and stuff like that. Now, as you can see, if we look at the chart for year to date, they're down 18%. If we look at, let's just look for the 1 month, down 16% in 1 month, down 17% in 6 months, year to date 18%, 1 year 37, and even for 5 years they're down. If you held the stock for 5 years, starting from from here August 2018, you still would be down 34%. And if we look at the max chart, we can see every since 2021 it has been going down. Now in the title, I probably end up putting AI Bard led me astray. I did start to use some of the AI software in order to help me um, do the research a little quickly, so I just kind of tested out. So the first thing I did before I did any of my other stock research, I said, pretend you're a financial analyst and investor in stocks for over 10 years. Can you give me the pros and cons of why I should or should not buy PayPal stock? So the first thing they had, PayPal is a leader in the digital payment industry with a strong global brand. I would agree with that. It says the company has a large and growing user base, and its platform is used by millions of merchants and consumers. I would also agree with that, but this is probably what's going to be more in question. PayPal is well positioned to benefit from the growth of e-commerce and mobile payment. I could say yes. The company has a strong track record of profitability and revenue growth. That's true. And PayPal is trading at a relatively attractive valuation compared to its peers. And that's what we can definitely say. I definitely can agree. Let's look what they have for the cons. PayPal growth has slowed in recent quarters. This is definitely true, and there are concerns about the company's ability to maintain its momentum. That is definitely a bear case. Bear case is good. Bull cases. So the first thing I went over was bull cases, and the second one I go over bear cases. PayPal faces increasing competition from other digital providers such as Stripe, Square, even Google Pay, Apple Pay. They got a lot of different ones out there. And by the way, I did do a video stock analysis back in 2022. You can check that out. I gave you way more information about PayPal, and I told you what I think about it at that time. And I believe at that time was $97. Okay. Now, the company is exposed to risks related to fraud and cyber crime. I really wouldn't consider that too much, but it says the PayPal stock price has been volatile in recent years, and there's no guarantee that it will continue to rise. I definitely would agree with that as well. Deeper, and I said, can you provide me with more? I said, can you provide me with more insight and details regarding PayPal, including price points and potential 5-year returns? Buying PayPal at the current price. Now, with something like this, you should just stick with the pros and cons and just allow it to give you the information, not determine, future predictions and stuff that typically when things doesn't go so well. But end up trying it out and see. So it says the price point of August 24th, $59.42. And it says, according to analysts, didn't necessarily, I would like to give them reference, but they didn't. It says PayPal is expected to be $98.55 per share in 5 years. This represents a potential return of 54% from the current price. Now, here's the thing: when I asked them for more, they said continued growth in e-commerce, blah blah blah, expansions in two areas. PayPal is continuing to expand in new markets. This will help the company reach a wider audience. PayPal has several acquisitions in recent years, which can help the company expand in as far as product and innovation. PayPal is constantly innovating and developing new products. Blah blah blah. And of course, these are the risks. PayPal faces extreme competition. We know that already. And they mentioned the economic downturn as far as the recession. An economic downturn could hurt PayPal business as far as transactions, because transactions is where they end up making money from. I asked it to be like in what would it be, an annual return or something like that. Anyway, you gotta watch stuff like this. It says the annual return for PayPal in 5 years would depend on the stock price in 5 years. If the stock price reaches $98.88 in 5 years, then the annual return would be 54.7%. However, it is important to note blah blah blah. Now here's where it is misleading here, and as the title, in 5 years, if the stock price is this is actually the total return, not the annual return. So you would have to divide that by 5 to know the annual return. And as you can see from here, for $60, it has an 18.8% annual return that doesn't make sense, and 50% as well. So these are actually, especially for 50, it will actually be negative. So that's why with these particular software, I mean, well, AI, you kind of have to kind of watch it and take it with a grain of salt. I barred, and I actually even asked them in detail, okay, how did you get that? It says the table you provided was annual return, blah blah blah. So they said they took the initial from what it was in 5 years, the difference, and they multiplied that by 100. And that's not how you would get the annual return for 5 years. But anyway, they end up calculating total returns in this one as well. They said 50 minus, they got the difference, and then they took the difference over the initial, and that, as you can see, that should have been negative up here. So this should have been negative 16 as well. Into some details as far as, I'll probably look at Simply Wall Street. This is something that I kind of use to help me do my research a little bit quicker. Um, as you can see, no risk factors there. I'm not going to go over everything. This is something beta. They have like the bull case and the bear case as far as what they think the price should be. I'm not really going to go over there. As far as the competitors and stuff, we already went there. There is a few things that I want to pull out. I just try to pull out the major things. As you can see, for the industry, 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years, the industry has been doing way better than PayPal. That's something that's definitely not good to see. As far as profitability, earnings, and stuff, that's pretty good. But let's look at, as far as the valuation perspective. Yeah, so let's look at the valuation perspective. So when we look at valuations, the POE ratio is relatively much lower than what its competitors would be. So that's typically a good one. The lower, the more attractive it may seem as far as bargain. The average is 31, and PayPal is 16.6. So from a valuation, if we're looking at POE, historic POE ratios, it seems like a good buy. Also, historically, PayPal has been trading much higher as far as PE, but now it's 16.6. Of course, the dynamics has definitely changed since then, which can reflect that, but based off historic. Now, if we're looking at the price to earnings versus industry, PayPal again is much lower. And as far as the earnings versus fair value, this is something they kind of do, and they factor into future earnings, profit margin, and risk factors. It's saying that's at 5. Now, as far as the share price versus fair value, this is based off the discounted cash flow. I think this is pretty accurate. I think about between 100, 110 maybe even 91 on the lower side to maybe like that 120. So I think this is a fair assessment. Um, so buying, like I said, buying it here and even just holding it to it break 100 or to it makes value to me. Um, from what we've seen so far, it wouldn't seem like a bad play at all. Of course, you would definitely need some catalysts to occur. You probably wanted to see the increase of future cash flow. You would probably definitely want to see active users increase as well. Now, as you can see, as far as the analyst price target for, and this is on from 43 analysts, they had the actual price target and the average 1 year price target at $93. So, in order for this to happen, the market probably would have to do pretty well, and fintech will have to be in. But like I said, these are just analysts or something like that. I'm more of a long-term investor, so I'm kind of look at things from a 3 to 5 year time period. In the short term, things can get more like a popularity contest. So they got for future earnings growth 8.8 and future earnings revenue growth 8 point something. I think those are relatively fair numbers as well. Now, when we look at the revenue and earnings did look pretty well. It's slightly down here to 2022. Wasn't that good of a year, but it picked back up. Revenue seems pretty good. Free cash flow. Now, if we look at free cash flow, it looks a little bit flat here. Like I said, let me see, free cash flow is in the purple. So for free cash flow, we're looking from about 3, 4, and then it kind of goes. It's probably about 4. So on average, we're looking about 4 or 3. So the free cash flow looks a little stagnant. I think that would be the PayPal major concern. The free cash flow, that would definitely be a major concern for PayPal. It's supposed to be growing at a faster rate than PayPal, so that's not necessarily a good thing as well. New CEO or something like that. So they have been buying shares for some from the past 6 to 9 months, which is also particularly good. Now, as we can also look at Yahoo Finance, and like I said, guys, I'm going a little bit faster because I'm just trying to get the highlights. If we look at the what analysts see, I typically like to look with other people saying what they think their price targets would be. And this price targets right there is $86. I believe this is in a year, but I have to double check. Right now, Yahoo got it as a buy. As far as the revenue growth and earnings growth, let me see. 7, 8, so about 7, 8. That's what we kind of looking at as far as revenue and earnings growth. Go to, and this is, by the way, this is from the last, I believe, earnings quarter 2. Okay, so for active users for each quarter, um, for 2020, and this is quarter based, for 429 to 432 to 435, and this is the major concerns from investors. It went from, so they lost 2 million um, active subscribers. As far as active accounts, it ended up decreasing from 435 to 433, and then in the next quarter as well. So if active users seems to be falling off there. However, if you look at the transactions, though, the number of payment transactions goes from 5,100. So it looks like it's overall, besides this particular quarter, the number of payment transactions seem to be fine. The total, yeah, so it's just this quarter that seemed to be a little off. Yeah, so if we look at this, some of the concerns was right around here from the active accounts went from 435 to 433 to 431. The good thing is, as far as the total payment volume, that seems to be going up as well. Margins do, as far as transaction margins, tend to be definitely going down a bit. As far as whether I think PayPal, what I think about PayPal stock, I think it's a solid company. With PayPal, for me personally, I do think right now, as far as revenue, they mainly only make it off of transactions. I do think that the fintech industry as far as payment processing and that stuff is getting very competitive. But to me, PayPal is still, when you think about digital payment, is still the leader. I think that this could be attractive because right now we've seen a major sell off, and now they don't have to do anything spectacular. And also, if you look at their earnings, for as far as a valuation perspective, if you look at their earnings, I believe, yeah, if you look at their earnings, they have been even, they beat and met earnings, and I believe the same thing as well for the revenue as well. So that's, to me, I think the market kind of oversold. PayPal for me is the more important thing is the price. I don't think they're a phenomenal company, but I do think they are pretty solid. Now, the PayPal started off at about 35. Right now we're at 60. So, and during the pandemic, it was 93. The last time it was something like this was probably in 2017. So for me, I think as far as PayPal at $60, I think it's a good buy, and I probably wouldn't hold it too long or something like that. Maybe around the, will it ever get back to its $300? Probably not. Not for a while, but at PayPal, buying it at 60 or selling it about 100, 120, if it makes it that much. If it gets to 120, that's a double amount. And especially in, even if it gets to 120 in 5 years, that's for each year, that's 20% annually. That could definitely happen. It can definitely beat the market. Or, and people also was saying the same thing about Facebook stock. We've seen something similar happen with Facebook stock. Let's look at the 5 years. It went from 352 to 190, back up to 395 or 286. So we've seen something there. So whenever I see a major sell off pretty quickly, now this one, as far as the sell off, it's happened. This all happened about within a 2 year period. So we can also see the fastest recovery. We can also see a 2 or 3 year recovery as well. So I mean, of course, could it go lower? Of course it could. I typically don't try to time the market, but as far as evaluation perspective, I like the upside compared to the downside. I don't honestly see it going any lower than worst case scenario, and this is worst case scenario. I don't see PayPal going probably lower than probably like $40 or something like that. I just don't see it. Not unless we have, like everything else take a major collapse, recession, and all that stuff. But to me, I think it's a solid buy. At this price, but I do understand as far as why people would not like to buy it, because there is a lot of competition. Nothing about PayPal kind of really stands out. The profit margins can end up slipping with steep competition. That's what I think about PayPal stock. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to my channel.